Please be better than Magna Carta Holy Grail. Please be better than Magna Carta Holy Grail. Please be better than Magna Carta Holy Grail. What's up, everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're looking to get your music reviewed, you can hit up this email. That's right here. But today, we are going to talk about this new album from Jay-Z, his 13th studio album called 444. Now, obviously, Jay-Z is one of the GOATs because he's got certified classics like Reasonable Doubt and The Blueprint. But ever since his last great album, American Gangster, it really seems like people have been very split when it comes to his music. We got Blueprint 3 and Watch the Throne with Kanye West, which did spawn its fair share of hits, but didn't really get a whole lot of critical acclaim. And I would say the Black Album would be in my top 3 Jay-Z projects. I just really loved pretty much everything about that album. We thought he was going to be gone, but then obviously he wasn't because he came back with that Kingdom Come trash, which completely could have done without. But anyway, we all know his last album, Magna Carta Holy Grail, was some of his worst work easily. That shit is just so forgettable, and you know, I don't think it's all out trash like some people have said, but it damn sure isn't up to the standards of what Jay-Z can do. But now we come to this album right here, and I really didn't have a whole lot of high expectations. He certainly had some good verses over the past year or so, like when he murked Drug Dealers Anonymous, but at this point in his career, I really didn't know what more he could rap about and what he could bring. I mean, he's 47, been in the game for 20-some years, is his 13th studio album, so how the hell is he going to keep my interest? But god damn, he definitely kept my interest, and there are so many things to talk about here, but I am going to start off with the production a little bit. All of these beats are handled by No ID, who really came through with some masterful sample chopping. You're not going to get just boring loops. You're actually going to get a lot of dynamic samples coming together to make a unique sound. And even the percussion on here is live as fuck, man. I really like the drums because they sound very lively and natural. It's not a lot of bip boop, synthy, 808, cheap sounding shit. So the production on this is damn good. And in particular, I really love that Sister Nancy sample flip on Bam. Now we do get Damian Marley on here, adding to that overall reggae vibe, and this song just has Jay-Z on his really, really grimy shit. Up until this point on the album, we're really getting more of that introspective and insightful Jay-Z, which I will come back to, but as for this track right here, I really think he was showcasing some clever bars. He says that he will put the drum to your ear and smear ya, and he'll Bobby Shmurda to anyone, just two funny little references to some younger rappers in the game. And he also had this other good line where he said that niggas is skipping leg day, but they're still running their mouth, and he's skipping leg day, and he's running the world. So he's still coming through with some of that bossy, braggy, hove shit. He actually starts this track off by saying, fuck all that pretty Sean Carter shit. So as I said, he is more insightful on most of this album, but he really wants you to know that he hasn't forgotten who he really is. He still has that little bit of ego, and he's representing for where he came from. I mean, on the song Marcy Me, for example, he's actually going into detail about what it was like for him coming up in the Marcy project. So I really appreciate that he was still giving us that side of Jay-Z. So I think the people who like grimy Jay-Z will appreciate these songs. But for me personally, it was the deeper content that really, really stuck with me. Now he does come with some semi-grimy shit on the song Caught Their Eyes, where we're getting this Frank Ocean hook and also this very bouncy production. This was easily one of my favorite tracks. And here he is introspective, but as I said, he's also grimy at the same time because he's rapping about how he's learned to just be aware and be sharp because of all the shit that he's gone through in the streets. He can tell when people are trying to scheme on him. He says that he can catch a side eye in his sleep. And there are a lot of references and imagery that have to do with eyes on this track. So it's very clever in that sense. However, the part on this song that really stuck out to me is when he touches on his relationship with Prince and how they've had some little discussions before, and as a result, Jay-Z is now upset over how Prince's estate is being handled because people are basically just trying to make money off of Prince and they're not really respecting all the great music and work that he's given us. So I thought it was pretty cool to hear that take from Jay-Z, obviously an artist who's been in the game for a long ass time and is also a businessman. But now we are going to go back to the more introspective, deep, and insightful Jay-Z, all the way back at the first track that's called Kill Jay-Z. Now what's happening on this track is he's sort of killing off his ego because he is just ripping himself to shreds with his bars. He brings up how he once shot his brother, he was selling drugs to loved ones, and he even brings up how he stabbed Lance Rivera back in the 90s. I still remember when that shit happened. So this track is just very deep and honest. He's actually making himself very vulnerable on this track. But the one part that everyone is talking about on here is when he takes a couple of shots at Kanye West. Now myself, I didn't really take these shots as him being mean-spirited. It more or less just seemed like him sort of checking Kanye and letting him know how he feels. Now we do know Kanye West has ranted and raved about Jay-Z and Beyonce in the past during some of his shows. So here, Jay-Z is just letting them know that you ain't no saint. That was a cool reference to Kanye's son's name, Saint. And he also lets them know that this is not Kumbaya. So he's taking Kumbaya and putting it together with the name Kanye. Just another very clever reference, clever bar. I think Jay-Z really came with some of his best shit throughout this whole project. There's also another line where he says that if you think everyone's crazy, then you're probably the one that's insane. And I thought that was dope because that's really how it works, man. If you really think that everyone out there is fucked up and there's nothing wrong with you, you probably have to take a closer look at yourself. So to me, this kind of felt like Jay-Z just being a big brother to Kanye. There is just so much great content on here where Jay-Z is clearing the air, and he especially does this on 444, which is almost like his answer to Beyonce's album Lemonade. This is a track with some great production from No ID. I love those passionate samples that we're getting on there as far as the vocals go. Just really adds to the feel of this track. And here, Jay-Z is apologizing for his womanizing ways. Not just for hurting Beyonce, obviously, but also for all the women that he played and ran through. Again, he's being very honest and vulnerable. And I know Jay-Z admitting all these wrongs does not make it all right. I've seen plenty of Twitter threads where women are just ripping him apart for being a scumbag, and I can understand that shit, but I still appreciate that he's being honest and putting all this shit out there, because if he wanted to, he could have just avoided it. To even go back, on one song he actually addresses the incident in the elevator with Solange, and he says that he was wrong and he could have just avoided that whole thing by coming clean in the first place. So there are a lot of really cool tidbits on this album, and I think it's great how Jay-Z used this album. He used this opportunity, I should say, to really clear the air and speak on a lot of the things that he's been going through and things that are surrounding his name in the last year or so. Another line that actually really stuck out to me on 444 is when he says that it took a daughter for him to really open up his eyes and understand women. I mean, obviously you can understand, love, and respect women without having a daughter. I don't think he's really trying to say that you can't do that without having a daughter. I just think it's very cool how he spoke on that, because as a father myself, I understand where he's coming from. You certainly do start to look at things differently when you have children, whether it's a daughter or a son. You really start to look at how you just want the world to be a better place. You look at some of the wrongs and hurt you've done to other people. So to me, that was a very introspective line and just another moment that I appreciated from Hove. But the one song that has probably sparked the most discussion is the song The Story of OJ. And there is a really dope video for this, so make sure you check it out. I really like the hook on this one, how it deals with all the different shades of blackness and just how you're gonna be a nigga no matter what, whether you're light-skinned, dark, rich, or poor, you're still nigga, is what Jay-Z says on here. And that little Nina Simone sample really ties into this theme as she's singing about being black and being yellow. So I took that as just the different shades, because I'm kind of a yellow-ass brother myself. Now, this song also goes into some other topics, as he's suggesting drug dealers take that money and buy the neighborhood rather than just killing each other over it and dying in these buildings that they're renting from. So there is this theme here where Jay-Z is just speaking to the community and trying to inspire and uplift people. At one point on the song, he even says that good credit is better than just blowing your money in the strip club. I know, ain't that some goddamn rocket science? He goes into the whole idea of generational wealth as well when he brings up this $1 million painting he bought that is just continuing to grow year after year after year. And then he's going to pass it down into his family where the kids can do something with it. You know what I mean? This is that money that really grows and adds up and can turn things around for a family. And a lot of people were critiquing Jay-Z for some of the advice and some of the lines he was saying on here, because obviously we can't all afford $1 million paintings. But I do get the overall idea that he was saying. I didn't see him flossing on us or just bragging to us. He's just giving us this idea that you can take something and really make it worth much more. So I appreciate it, man. And honestly, the content on here is incredibly dope to me. That was actually the main thing I was worried about going into this one, but he really came through. He goes into this whole idea of generational wealth and black excellence on legacy as well, which I thought was a great way to wrap up the album, especially kind of cute how he had his daughter on the start asking about what a will is. So man, come on, you got to appreciate Jay-Z for coming this far. I mean, just look at his growth, not just in the rap game, but also as a man. But what would a Jay-Z album be without him speaking on the game? I especially liked on Family Feud, where the whole idea is nobody wins when the family feuds, and he's talking to the old rappers and the new rappers who are just always butting heads. I actually thought it was kind of cool when he reminded us old heads that even Tupac had a nose ring, and that was something that some people hated on him for because they thought that was kind of feminine for a gangster rapper to have a nose ring. So he's just letting the old heads know that, you know what, when we were coming up, those artists that we loved, the old heads to us at that time were hating as well. So it's just a generational thing, and nobody wins when the family feuds. He really just gave me some Blueprint vibes here as far as his flow went. I thought they were just as sharp as ever on this song. And of course, he has that funny line where he says that he's a billionaire, so he's cute. Everyone was kind of laughing about that because people often make fun of Jay-Z and his strong features. This track is just dope as hell though. I really just like the idea here of supporting each other, supporting black businesses. He really is just uplifting us and inspiring us. A lot of people actually were sort of hating on Jay-Z for this, as I alluded to earlier, but I didn't see this as him saying this is how we fix all the problems in black America. I know I'm in Canada, but you know, I know he's speaking to you guys more than he is me. I didn't see him as saying it's easy to fix black America's problems. Just do these 3 things and that's it. He's just sort of giving you some suggestions based on all the things that he's seen and has been through, and he has seen and been through a lot. So I really do appreciate it. But the song where he really speaks on the rap game is Moonlight. I especially like the line on here when he says that a lot of rappers these days are glorified seat fillers walking around like they made Thriller. And the reason I like that is because a lot of the music we get today and back in the day, I know, it is generational, as I said, but even right now, we really are getting a lot of rap that seems like it'll be disposable and not really stick around and be timeless. So I thought that line was incredibly dope. It certainly is speaking on the current landscape in hip hop, but he is also uplifting people on this song because he's encouraging rappers to go the independent route and get away from all these major labels that are just screwing people over. I thought it was very clever how it samples Fuji La by the Fugees. It's called Moonlight, and on the hook, he's singing about La La Land. So there's that little bit there about the mix-up at the Oscars in regards to Moonlight and La La Land. So a lot of clever shit happening all over this album, and this song in particular really grew on me. At first, I didn't care for those sing-songy flows that just kind of turned me off a bit, but once I took in all the bars and cleverness, it really damn well stuck. So here we are, at the end of this review. I think I really went into quite a bit of detail about the things I liked, and there really wasn't too many things about this that I didn't like. If I had to pick a least favorite track, I would say Smile because the beat just didn't stick out to me as much as some of these other tracks, but you are still going to get a lot of nice content on here, including Jay-Z speaking on coming to terms with his mother's homosexuality because she felt like she was living in the shadows and he didn't really know how to deal with it. So this track still has some good bars. I know I didn't touch on everything here because there is so damn much, but to me, this is a damn 4.5 out of 5. It ain't perfect, but it's pretty close, and I really do think this is some of Jay-Z's best work. I don't know how he could have done much better at this point in his career. It's short, cohesive, the production is great, the bars are clever, the content is amazing. It's just, there really isn't anything too awful about this. There's not even trash features or just him trying to follow trends, anything like that. So 4.5 out of 5 seems fair to me. I'm going to wrap the shit up now so you guys can hit me up in the comment section with your thoughts. And of course, man, you know what to do. All that social media stuff. Like, share, subscribe, follow, click on all the fucking thingies. Thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.